Hello, welcome to another devlog. Last time I worked on improving the combo system and added some visual effects for the game. This time I'll be finishing the special attack and effects, as well as taking a closer look at the game's enemies and combat. Now, let's get started. First, I added some simple particle effects for when the player jumps and hits the ground. Then, I made a simple blood particles that will show when enemies are hit. The blood, as expected, was looking horrible, so I remade that. I started by making the particle fall and leave the mark when it hits the ground. And then I made a custom shader to add some texture and effects for the blood. Now it's looking much better. I decided to create an auto effect for when the player is entering in an enraged state, which will boost the attack or unlock some special abilities. I also made a custom shader for this effect. Here I learned that you can animate the shader's properties with the particle system by activating the custom data node and using vertex streams. You can then access this value inside the shader by using the UV channels components. The UV channel 0 will always be the object's UV coordinates, so you use the next available position, the Z position, or the B value from the split node. I used the value to animate the tiling of the texture and give the effect the illusion of movement. Then I made an aura effect with the VFX graph. I had a problem here where the glow was not showing up instantly. Turns out, the constant spawn rate does not immediately spawn particles as I thought. And to fix that, I had to add a single burst at the beginning of the spawn. I then try out another VFX for sucking particles into the player. And finally, I added some animations and a glow shader effect. Let's not forget some bugs where I forgot to stop the player in speed. And here's the final result, adding all the effects together. I plan to have a small aura remain on the player later. I tested the combat with the enemies and found some issues with the new combo system. I realized that I didn't add any invincibility frames while attacking, and the combo could not be completed. Additionally, I made the characters collide with themselves and the player, which didn't work well for a 2.5D game. Enemies would get stuck in each other, and the combo attack didn't feel very good. I fixed this by changing the enemy's physics layers to not collide with themselves, and ensuring that only the attack trigger was in the layer that could detect collisions. Changing that makes the combat feel a lot better. Next, I changed how the attack triggers worked. I'm activating them inside animations now, which gives me much more control of when and how they are used. I finally finished the player's sword model. It has a very simple texture and it's very low poly. I also changed the player shield model. I used some free CC0 licensed audio samples to make some of the game's sound effects. I also tried to make a simple song, but it didn't turn out that great. So, I wait till the game's atmosphere is more defined before trying that again. I'll leave the music muted, but I'll let the audio effects play from now on. Next, I went to work on the block action. For its audio, I first took the shoot bash effect that I found, and then removed the start and kept only the impact sound at the end. And added a low EQ effect to have the sound be a bit more bassy, and changed the volume for the final audio. Here's the final result. I then added a shielded defending reaction animation and started to test for bugs. I had an animation bug because I was using the same variable as taking damage to control both the animations of defending and taking a hit. I also found a bug that could make the player stuck in the combat phase if trying to attack while taking damage. But I eventually got everything fixed. You might have noticed, but I still got some weird light bug that happens sometimes. I used two lights, a point light and a spotlight, that follows the player around. I think it's because I made the lights too strong, but I will figure that out later, as I will change those lights when I start making the game's map. I decided I had to add a ground/special attack. But first, as the player's animator was starting to get a bit too crowded, I created an attack substate machine to organize things a bit. This special attack uses the slash VFX from the last video. I also added a very subtle pitch change for the attacks in the combo. While testing things out, I discovered that even when the slash VFX was not showing, it could still cause damage because the effect was still active. So I fixed that. Another critical bug I found was that trying to attack while in the taking hit animation would get the player stuck because I forgot to reset the player state variables. And lastly, it seems I forgot to disable the special attack trigger before starting it. Funnily enough, when timed correctly, it looks like quite a nice attack, so maybe I will use that for something else in the future later. But for now, that's also fixed, and you can only attack once. And that's it. The combat is improving. I'm sure it will feel a lot better when I start making some proper enemies AI. That is something I've never done before, so you'll need to see the results later. I still haven't started on the maps yet, but I guess I can't delay that for much longer. I'll try to work on the AI next time, and depending on how things go, I can start working on the game's map and atmosphere. Thank you so much for watching and all the support for this project. I'm still fumbling my way through learning game dev, so the progress is still quite slow. I'm also doing this short devlog so I can learn how to record and edit videos. I hope I will see you in the next video, and until next time.